The countdown is on for the opening of the new billion-dollar airport terminal. We'll take you there live.
The Algiers ferry is still not in service. We spoke to local businesses, find out how they're being affected and what the city is doing to provide relief coming up.
And if you're having a hard time finding oysters, the mighty Mississippi could be to blame. I'll have a live report coming up.
And the Wolfpack with wins on the hardwoods.
Plus, gearing up for this weekend's big SEC rivalry.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Anum Siddiqui.
And I'm Lily Cummings. You're watching Wolfpack News. After months of delays, the new Louis Armstrong International Airport finally opened today. We are live at the new MSY with reporter Sky Ray. And Sky, I heard that there were some special guests in attendance.
That's right, Lily and Anum. I'm here live at the new MSY Airport, where there was just a great turnout today. We were welcomed with a second line. We had some government officials here. Former Governor Mitch Landrieu, as well as current Governor John Bel Edwards, was here. They said some words talking about the great aspects that the new airport will bring here to the city of New Orleans. It has provided over 80,000 jobs here for locals. It's also the biggest airport with the most visitors here in the state of Louisiana.
And while many are excited for the updated amenities in the new airport, there are concerns about traffic. Madison McLaughlin takes us on a ride to the new terminal with a cab driver, whose #1 concern is logistics.
Lionel Williams has been driving people to the Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport for more than a dozen years, always taking the same route.
On average, I probably go at least twice per day minimum.
The new terminal has put a bump in the road for Williams and other cab drivers in the city.
I feel like it's a wait and see type situation because when you drive a cab, it's about logistics.
The new terminal will only have one access point. The old terminal had more.
The single access point to the new terminal is here, off of Veterans and Loyola in Kenner. Officials say the new roadway that will provide another access point is still years in the making.
Congestion is the main concern, but Kenner officials say they will be paying police officers overtime to direct traffic. Madison McLaughlin, PAC News.
Officials recommend you get to the airport at least 2 hours prior to your departure time to beat the traffic.
And for the second time in a few weeks, the Armiger, the main ferry that carries riders between Canal Street and Algiers Point, has been docked for mechanical problems. With the Armiger not in service and a second ferry undergoing routine maintenance, there are no boats to carry passengers back and forth across the river. And business owners at Algiers Point are frustrated. Reporter Tess Rowland has the latest.
Survive off tourists here.
Philip Kilbarger, the lead cook at Dry Dock Cafe, is nervous he won't make ends meet this month.
We got a lot of tourists that come through without the ferries running. Like, this is slow.
The Algiers ferry has been out of service for a number of weeks, leaving business owners and their employees struggling.
The servers and bartenders make tips. Well, if you don't have the people coming in the door, they're not making the money. And consequently, if you don't have the sales, I don't need the kitchen staff.
As of now, RTA buses are the only form of transportation, and business owners say
this takes longer because the RTA doesn't really run as efficiently as it could.
Ian Barrio, owner of Congregation Coffee, is not only frustrated by the decrease in business, but also
it's just an oddity that we've already paid for boats that we can't use, and just the lack of transparency, I think, is hard to swallow.
There is no set date for when the Algiers ferry will be back in service, but economic officials are working to provide temporary relief to small businesses in the area. The Algiers Economic Development Foundation recently partnered with the Complete Streets Coalition, working to make roads safer for biking and walking.
11 miles of low-stress corridor for bikers and pedestrians will really help folks get to the small businesses that they love and help spend money locally.
And now,
just a big old waiting game.
Tess Rowland of PAC News.
We spoke to Councilwoman Palmer, who represents the district, and she said she hopes to see the Armiger Ferry in waters in the upcoming weeks.
Oyster harvesters are blaming the mighty Mississippi for the lack of Gulf oysters this harvest season. Coming up, I'll show you how the Bonnie Carey spillway is affecting local businesses.
Tourists and residents alike won't be sinking their teeth into oyster po' boys anytime soon. Restaurants are pulling oysters from menus because of shortage they're blaming on the opening of the Bonnie Carey spillway. Reporter Amy No takes us live to the Mississippi River with the story.
That's right, you guys. The Bonnie Carey spillway was open for over 100 days this year because of high water levels in the Mississippi River. This meant that the fresh water from the river was going into Lake Pontchartrain, and from Lake Pontchartrain was going into the Gulf of Mexico. This created salinity levels so low that Gulf oysters weren't able to grow. I talked to a local oyster harvester about how this is affecting his bottom line.
The opening of the Bonnie Carey spillway brought more than just the alleviating of flooding in the city. The freshwater brought lower levels of salt to the Gulf of Mexico. Salt levels in the Gulf of Mexico after the second opening of the Bonnie Carey spillway are 0 parts per 1,000. The average, 36.
Freshwater kills oysters, period. We're looking for a specific salinity number where we work out in Area 3. If you get over that, the oysters are going to die, as well as if you get under that.
Before the opening of the Bonnie Carey spillway, 504 Oysters was able to harvest about 2,000 sacks daily. But now, the best they've seen is 200. Tinney and his crew are used to being out on his boat 6 to 7 days a week, but now
I can count on one hand how many times I've worked in the past 2 months. The writing was on the walls that this was going to be like something we haven't experienced.
Before, boats would be docked right here to unload 300 sacks worth of oysters onto this conveyor belt to send into the city. But now, pallets are empty and distributors are at a loss.
Austin was here 5 days a week. He was here Monday through Friday delivering oysters. Probably about 200 sacks each trip. And now he's coming probably about every other week with 30, 40, sometimes 50 sacks every other week. It's 1 or 2 restaurants, and that's it.
Inland Seafood New Orleans is a wholesale distributor who sells locally caught seafood to restaurants. With the lack of Gulf oysters,
we're having to get oysters now off the east and west coast. Those oysters are costing us about 80 cents a piece to the customer, where we were selling before 42 cents a piece.
Tinney says he wishes he could be doing more.
Been in this business since I was, old enough to be in this business, and it's all I know. And I don't think anybody on this bayou wants to have to do anything else for a living. And point blank, honestly, I don't see myself finishing, my life in the oyster business. With all the challenges we're facing now, it's not looking good.
Oyster harvesters are saying that this situation is worse than the BP oil spill, and it'll be 3 years until things restore to normal. That is, if conditions fix themselves. Reporting live from the Mississippi River, I'm Amy No for PAC News.
Streaming services are where most of us get our music on the go, but what's making a comeback are vinyl records. Vinyl sales are outselling what we once used, CDs. In the past year, vinyl records sold over 12% more than CDs. Some record stores have even rearranged their setup to make more room for vinyls and reduce the price of CDs. According to the Recording Industry Association of America, the best vinyl record sales were in the classic rock genre, including Led Zeppelin and the Beatles.
And both Wolfpack basketball teams are undefeated early in the season. We'll give you the details next.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Good afternoon, I'm Sam Lucio reporting for PAC Sports. With no game last week, the Saints will be back in action Sunday as they take on the Atlanta Falcons. Heading into Week 10, the Saints are 7-1 and in first place in the NFC South. Drew Brees will be under center in his second game since returning from injury. Meanwhile, Alvin Kamara and Jared Cook's injury status is still unknown. We will find out if they will be back on the field tomorrow when the injury report comes out. Along with the Saints, LSU did not play last week. But in the most recent AP College Football Poll, the Tigers are still ranked number 1. And the number 1 team will compete against the number 2 team, University of Alabama, this Saturday in Tuscaloosa. The Tigers have not beaten the Crimson Tide in 8 years. Star quarterback for the Tigers, Joe Burrow, will be put to the test going up against this Roll Tide defense. Burrow will have to continue to show what he can do to lead his team to another victory. The showdown of the top 2 will decide who ends up on top of the SEC West. Now for Loyola sports. The Wolfpack women's basketball team takes on the University of Virgin Islands Buccaneers tonight at 8 in the Den. In their season opener over the weekend, the Wolfpack beat the Buccaneers 88-36. Due to transportation concerns, the second season matchup between these two teams will take place at home tonight. Head coach Kelly Kennedy is excited about the team's opening performance and expects her team to keep their foot on the gas going into tonight's game.
Well, I think we had some people come out and play very well, and I feel like we had good leadership. I felt like we worked really hard. That's something we've been focusing on. We ran the ball well offensively, and I felt like defense was not too bad. We held them to some really low percentages in terms of shooting from the 2 and from the 3, and we did a better job on the boards than we had done in our exhibition against Tulane.
Again, tonight's game is set to begin for 8 p.m. 3 games down, and the men's basketball team has yet to lose a game this season. The winning start featured a historic game versus Carver College on Friday. Loyola earned the most points in the school's history after beating their opponents 143-103. The Pack heads out on the road to play the ULL Raging Cajuns tonight at 7 o'clock. The Wolfpack volleyball team heads into their final week of the season. Andres Fuentes is in the Den with senior player Sonny Ray Blanchard.
All right, guys, how's it going? I'm here at the Den where the big matchup is going to happen today. Xavier University versus Loyola. The volleyball matchup is going to be crucial with the conference playoffs coming real soon. And with the 15-17 record, the team hopes that they can advance and make a better standing for themselves. I'm here with senior Sonny Blanchard. So tell me a little bit about what we can expect out of the crowd today. This is a big game, pink game today, so everybody's going to be decked out in pink.
Yeah, so with 2 teams playing from New Orleans, there are going to be a lot of people in the Den tonight, both for Xavier and for Loyola. So it's going to be really awesome to have that much support in the Den tonight.
And tell me a little bit about the crowd. You know, how amped up do they really get? You know, you only have 3 games left. Are you expecting a really big turnout?
I'm hoping we have a big turnout. The crowd does get super amped up, especially when it's this big of a rival. The other sports teams get really hyped whenever they come to our games, and that's super exciting too.
Mm-hmm. And you are a senior, so you only have 3 games really left at Loyola. So tell me a little bit about how excited you are, maybe how nervous you are.
I'm actually really emotional. I put a lot into this, and I've met so many friends, and it's sad that it's going to come to an end, but I am excited for what's going to come next, and I'm super pumped for the season, like for conference next week too. I think it's going to be super exciting.
Mm-hmm. You vested a lot, 4 years in this program. So how do you want your season to really end this year?
I'm hoping that we get the big conference win, but that we worked really hard. But I'm hoping that I leave Loyola knowing that I made the best memories with the best people, and so far it's happening. Yeah.
Sounds really good. All right, guys, you heard it here. Xavier here tonight, 6 p.m. You guys better be here. Sam, Anum, Lily, you got to be here, all in pink. Thank you, guys.
That's all for sports today. The spotlight was all on the costumes at this year's Big Easy Con. We will show you some of the cosplayers when we come back.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio? Oh man, the selfies. Selfies nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
From superheroes to ninjas, hundreds visited New Orleans for the pop culture convention Big Easy Con. Reporter Cody Downey shows us what happened.
With so many celebrities and collectibles to see at Big Easy Con, it may have been strange that the thing that everyone was looking at were the people in costumes known as cosplayers. Professional cosplayer Louis Stardust says the act of cosplaying is so popular because
I think it's about embodying your favorite character.
Ranging from television shows to comic books, fans were dressed up as a variety of characters such as
Wilson from Home Improvement. The fourth Doctor, Raven, full power point. Robin, Tim Drake.
Most cosplay can be very tame. Some of it falls into the more risque side. Aerial Space Squad is an aerialist cosplaying group that has rolled with the crew of Chewbacca's, a Star Wars themed Mardi Gras parade. Performer Lex Flex says the mixing of cosplay and acrobats is what makes their group unique.
And we just dress up in all our favorite characters and be who we imagine we could be and do it upside down.
Similar to Aerial Space Squad is the Society of Sin. Performer Diana Dietrich says the nerd-less group follows the thinking of.
Take a look and see what it would be like today also.
No matter which side they chose to lean toward, there is no denying that cosplayers found enjoyment in showing off their costumes.
And that looked like a lot of fun.
Definitely.
Thanks for watching PAC News.
Have a good afternoon.